We have got ourselves a game. Wales v England is on at the Principality Stadium, and now we've got the teams as well. So this video is a look at both the lineups, and I'm going to do a combined 15 as well, with all of the 46 players in the matchday squad available who would get into a combined team if you had access to both. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Tim. This is Egg Chasers. Please hit subscribe, like and share, and leave your comments as well. I'm excited for this one. I think the first thing that's important to say is I'm just really happy the game is on. And I can appreciate how difficult it must have been being a Welsh player in that camp this week. So I think the expectations will be much lower than they normally are for a Welsh team at home in a Six Nations game. But they're going to have the crowd very much on their side. There's going to be some atmosphere inside this stadium. And I'm absolutely buzzing that I'm going to be there. So bring it on. I'll be doing some content from the stadium as well, which is why you need to hit subscribe so it'll pop up in your feed nice and easily as well. Let's have a look at the Wales lineup then. And there's quite a lot of chopping and changing going on from Warren Gatland. How do you feel about that? I'm not entirely sure myself. So there's 9 changes to the starting 15, and we saw loads of changes from the Ireland game to the Scotland game last time. Is that Warren Gatland just trying to learn stuff about his squad, or is that an element that he's not sure? I don't know which it is. It seems odd in some cases, I've got to say. So Thomas comes in at loose head prop. Francis in at tight head prop. That's a boost back from injury. Alan Wynne-Jones into the second row. You've got Taulupe Faletau at number 8. Justin Tipperick at open side flanker coming in as well. The big calls. Owen Williams at 10. Dan Biggar onto the bench. And also Mason Grady at 13 in for George North. That is... I mean, what an occasion for Mason Grady, making your debut at 13 against England in Cardiff. You've got Nick Tompkins as a centre on the bench as well. And I don't know. How do you look at this two teams? Because I'm undecided whether I look at Wales and this selection. Oh, yeah, Lee Halfpenny and Lewis Rees-Zammit also in to the back three, by the way, with Rio Dyer and Liam Williams dropped out. I can't decide whether I look at this Welsh 15 and think this is a mixture of past and present, established quality internationals and the new blood coming in, or whether it is past it and also not quite ready. Do you know what I mean? I haven't totally made up my mind. There are some selections which have me scratching my head a little bit. Liam Williams being dropped. Is there an injury? I haven't heard anything on that. Liam Williams being dropped from the squad altogether surprised me. I also surprised Jack Morgan is completely out of the matchday squad. He was being played slightly out of position against Scotland, let's not forget. And also, for Jack Morgan to be dropped out of the back row and Justin Tipperick to leapfrog Tommy Raffel into the 7 jersey also has me scratching my head just a little bit. I'm pleased to see Bradley Roberts on the bench and getting a go. I really like him. As a hooker. Kieran Hardy in for Reece Webb as a scrum half replacement. Mixed feelings on that. Clearly, a lot of danger in that back line. Owen Williams at 10. That's a massive, massive call. Dan Biggar did not have a good game against Scotland. There's no doubting about that. Yeah, I'll be interested to know what you think. What do you think Warren Gatland is thinking with this? And what selections are you 100% behind, and what have you scratching your head just a little bit? I can't quite understand. For example, I like Mason Grady a lot, but he's primarily a 12, and Nick Tompkins I think is really good. I think introducing Mason Grady off the bench with Nick Tompkins, who plays 13 regularly, that's the sort of selection I think might have been smarter. But what do I know? Let's move on to England. And we go from chopping and changing to completely stable. Steve Borthwick makes 1 change to his starting 15, and that one is an enforced change because Ollie Hassel-Collins is injured, so Anthony Watson comes in on the wing. Messed up my blooming graphic. I've written Hassel-Collins on there. Ignore that. That's Anthony Watson. Sorry to Anthony Watson on that one. But I'm not going to do the video again for that. I'm carrying on here. So 1 change enforced by injury, two on the bench. Again, 1 injury, 1 because he's back fit. Courtney Laws is back. Ben Curry is back. Ben Curry out of the squad because his brother came in, then his brother got injured, so he's back in. That surprises me that Ben Curry's involved, though, and Ben Earl isn't involved in the matchday squad at all. And yeah, everything else kind of as you were on the bench. How do I feel about that? Well, I quite like that there's a settled feel. I'm a bit surprised. Inject Jack Willis in the England back row into my veins because I love it. And after all the injuries he's had to put up with, I'm loving it. I love that Courtney Laws is back and involved. Bit concerned about how little game time he's had, but he's an absolute pro. And interesting that he'll have number 19 on his back, suggesting that he will be a second row option because he's come in for Nick Ezekwe. On the whole, pretty happy. I'm excited for Farrell, Lawrence, Slade to get another go together. And that 10, 12, 13 battle on the day, Williams, Hawkins and Grady against Farrell, Lawrence, Slade, that feels like a mismatch, doesn't it? But who knows? We're going to see. If it was just if you played the game on paper, you wouldn't bother doing it at all. That's why we watch the game of rugby, because anything can happen. So yeah, I'm pretty satisfied. A bit of a shame about Ben Earl, but I'm really pleased that Ben Curry's getting another go. Because I don't think he covered himself in glory in the Scotland game, and I hope he can show what he's about and what he's up for in the game. So let's have a look at this combined 15 that I've come up with. So again, this is all 46 players available from both squads, and I've put them into one match day 23. And this is where the comments can get a little spicier. So get stuck in. Leave your comment. What do you make of this? So I've got 6 Welshmen out of the starting 15, 9 Englishmen. And yeah, in the pack, just 2 Welshmen. I've got Thomas Francis as a tight head prop. Carl Sinclair is getting back somewhere towards the Carl Sinclair that we know, but he's not there yet. And I just love that Thomas Francis gives you a solid set piece. And he used to, when he first appeared on the international scene, bearing in mind he's English qualified, well, he's English primarily, and was qualified through, was it his mother? I can't remember exactly how. Anyway, he was qualified to play for Wales. Completely overlooked by England. And this is one of the areas where England have so much depth, they can just never even consider players like Thomas Francis, who's now had 50 caps at international level and holds his set piece together rock solidly, which is something England, there's been some question marks there for all of the brilliant tip-on passes and ball carries that the front row can make. Can they do the bread and butter? I've got Ellis Genge and Jamie George in the front row. I've got Maro Itoje and Ollie Chesham in the second row. Adam Beard should really be in that second row, but he hasn't performed like the Adam Beard of a year or two ago. So Chesham, with his form, just gets the nod, as does Ludlam and Willis for the same reasons. Tipperick did not look great in that first game. It would have been Tommy Raffel in the back row if Tommy Raffel had been started. That's what I would have done if I were Warren Gatland. Taulupe Faletau, this is a big day for him. He will be hurt that he was dropped, and I think you're going to see a reaction from Faletau. Thomas Williams at 9. In the back line, look, Wales have got 4 players there. I picked Joe Hawkins over Ollie Lawrence because Joe Hawkins is, well, he's a 12. Ollie Lawrence looked great against Italy, don't get me wrong, but he is primarily a 13, and I think Joe Hawkins has looked good as well, so I've given him the edge. The 2 wings for Wales I've picked. Malins and Watson are class, but I think if Steve Borthwick had Lewis Rees-Zammit and Josh Adams in his squad, I suspect those would be the 2 wingers in his team. And I think that's if Wales can get some decent ball, I think they do have finishers that in a tight game, and they'll need to keep it quite tight. I think there'll be a lot of kicking. If they can actually release these players, then they've got some danger. Freddie Stewart at fullback over Lee Halfpenny, your final one. And here's the only other sort of glimmer of hope for Wales that I see is on the bench. I think they've got the edge there. England have more impact players, guys like Alex Mitchell and Arundel and Marcus Smith that can come on and speed the game up. But I think actually, when you look at the forward options, if Wales can keep it close for 50 minutes, then I think they've got enough good players coming off the bench that are better than England that actually they can they can keep that going in the forward battle. I think the pack is going to, as with most rugby games, the pack. What's that old cliche that always gets said as you're growing up playing rugby? The pack decide who wins the game. The backs decide by how much. I think this could well be one of those. I wouldn't be surprised if you see England winning because of penalty kicks and Owen Farrell slotting a few kicks. I think it could be tight. I think it could be niggly. I think there could be a bit of fisticuffs and stuff. I think the noise in the stadium is going to be off the charts. I am anything other than an England win. I don't think it's acceptable for England, given the week that Wales have had. How can it not have a massive impact? So Wales's hope is to keep it tight and try and sneak it with a bit of wonder. But truthfully, when I look at that Wales 10, 12, 13, when I look at the England's pack, I don't see a way for Wales to win this game. And I'd be saying that England would edge it in Cardiff, but after the week that they've had and the turmoil that's been going on behind the scenes and all of the distraction that's caused, then I just don't see a way for Wales to win this. I think England will win by 9 points, 9 to 12 points. That said, there is always the argument that this will galvanise Wales and help the players go to places they never thought they could go and bring about a kind of squad dynamic that takes them to another level. They're definitely going to have the fans on their side. It's definitely going to be noisy, and I can't wait to be there at Cardiff to watch this game. I just hope it's a really good game of rugby. I'll be doing some reporting, some little reports from there, some content from Cardiff. So please do hit subscribe, and I will see you on the next video. Bring on Six Nations Round 3.